What up, guys? Welcome to the New Jersey HorrorCon Q&A stage. Not gonna waste your time. Make some noise for Christina, Elise, and Vincent. Cast Chucky and Child's Play 2. Hello. Thank you guys so much for taking the time and sitting here with us and taking the time to be over the table. I'm sure everyone in this room has memories going back as far as 1988 as to when they fell in love with this franchise. I'm curious what your earliest memories are. In different times, of course, in different films, but your earliest memories for each of you of becoming involved in the Child's Play franchise.
My earliest memory is my audition. Or like the third callback in my audition. I told the story a lot, but I flew out to California to audition against two other kids, and my mother was in the room with me for the audition, and I had to say the line, "Aunt Maggie was a real bitch and got what she deserved," and I did not want to swear in front of my mother. So I said that I forgot the words, and I ran out of the room, and I locked myself in the bathroom, and my mother came, explained what happened, and she told them, and I guess I was innocent enough to be Auntie after that. That's my first memory of anything to do with Chucky. And then getting to the set and seeing the doll for the first time and meeting the puppeteers before we ever filmed anything. I remember that also. That's as early as it gets.
Imagine that would be a striking visual.
Yeah.
My audition too, but my audition story is not cute. So the better thing to say is that I got to audition with Brad Doran in an office at the Universal Lot, so he could hear how I was going to do my dialogue, so he could sort of have a chance to act with me before he recorded everything. And I was a huge fan already because of Cuckoo's Nest and Wise Blood. I'm just a big, huge fan of his, and so ridiculously starstruck and terrified. And it was really cool.
So obviously you guys have been friends with and working with Donna and Caylee for decades now. How different is it now versus back when you did Child's Play 2 together? Like, was he on the set much in part 2, or he was?
Yeah, in part 2, Don had a camcorder and was going around filming everything. He was a writer, so he was there, to give notes and stuff like that, but he was really just filming everything. And playing director already, I guess, which ended up. But nowadays, he's showrunner, so he's the busiest guy on the set, and he still makes time to pretty much come to each scene that he can every day and give some insight, direction. And he's running the show, so he's doing a bit of every single job there.
There's a lot of hats to wear for sure.
Yeah.
So obviously we have a packed house here. I'll just do one more before I turn it over to the audience. Because you guys have been doing this for so long, you've seen the evolution go from fully animatronics to a combination of animatronics and CG. And so is there...
Well, okay, to clarify that, the only CGI that we use on Chucky is to erase the puppeteers.
Right.
But that's it. Like the doll's face.
All practical puppetry. Except for one scene, I think in Curse, he comes down the stairs, and you can tell.
Yeah, it's a combination between puppetry and actor. When you see Chucky's full body running, it's usually an actor. But yeah, the only CGI, unfortunately they can do it this way now, is basically it's a bunch of green men that are around the doll, and they can wipe the green men right out of the image.
It's crazy, because it used to be the doll had wires coming out of her, and the puppeteers were all in a circle around you doing their little things with their hands to move each of their different parts of the doll. Now they're physically in there with like sticks moving from their feet, and they're in the green ninja outfits. Yeah, so the CGI has to paint them out of the scene. It goes more smoothly.
It's what CGI is best at. It's
removing
things versus adding them. It's the industry kind of a while to realize that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there was a period of time they were doing Child's Play movies, and they made the mistake of not having you back for some of them. What were your thoughts on the in-between films then? Was there any that you particularly liked or disliked, or just happy to come back when you did? Or?
Yeah. Well, part 3, I was 10 years old, and they replaced my character with a different actor. So I was a 10-year-old's version of bitter and resentful. And I just didn't watch it for a little bit. And then I did, and I appreciated, things about the film, but it's my least favorite of all of them. Bride and Chucky, by the time that came out, I had gotten over my butthurt feelings a bit, I love Jennifer Tilly, so that movie's super fun. And Seed of Chucky, I think, like so many other people, I wasn't really ready for it at that time. I should have been, but I wasn't. Because when I go back and watch it now, I appreciate it so much more than I did at the time. At the time, there's a lot of Chucky fans that want it to always be scary. That's their first time meeting Chucky, he was scary. And some people are committed to that idea. I have very much so evolved my thoughts on that. Because I think, especially the TV show, it's opened up a universe that's so much richer, with so much, the word meta, or whatever, but there's so much reality in the absurdity of some of the stories with Chucky. And I've learned to really, really think it's brilliant and appreciate it.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. The meta aspect is one of my favorite aspects of the show. 100%. Apologies again about my voice.
He's losing his voice too. The other thing about the comedy and the campiness in the show that sometimes people don't like, you don't get that, you don't get Jennifer Tilly at all. And so who would give up Jennifer Tilly? She's the greatest fucking thing on earth. And she's awesome.
We have an incredibly packed house, so I don't want to just hog this mic. Guys, all these questions, throw them hands, and I'll repeat it just so people can hear them at home on YouTube.
Does anyone have any questions? Just shout them out.
Don't be shy. We got one in the back.
Yes?
Scariest part of the movie?
None of it is really scary in terms of the scene being scary to us. When I was a kid in the first one, and Chucky's all burnt and vacuuming down that hallway, they didn't want me to see that. They thought that would be too scary for me. And then practically it didn't work for me to not see it, so I ended up seeing it anyway. But they tried to shield me from that. The other scary parts, I wouldn't call it scary, but being trapped in that cabin, tied to that cot while Chucky was skinning me and eating me. It depends how I looked at it. I can find that day very scary.
For me, the scariest thing is reading each script, hoping I don't die. I don't want that to happen at all, and it's really terrifying. And every season they always sort of fuck with me and Kyle and Andy and pretend that we're not coming back to keep us in this really comfortable place. I'm like, oh my god, I'm coming back, I'm coming back. But as far as shielding people, when we came back in season 1 as the fake census takers, and you shoot Chucky in that little girl's arms, and you got a bullet right next to her head, didn't seem clever. There was all the blood that hits me was CGI after the fact, because they didn't want her to see that. So I had to go, like I'd been hit with something when I hadn't been, just to protect that little girl from seeing something gross.
They weren't so kind to me in 1988.
Fuck it. Watch the doll burn. Got all these questions out there, guys. Don't be shy now.
Don't be shy.
Alright, well, while you're thinking of your next question, one thing I've always wondered about, do you know how it came to be that the show is on 2 networks?
I don't know how it came to be that we don't get paid twice.
Come on.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's really the only time that I've ever heard of it. I don't know that happens on some other shows. I mean, I know some live sports is shown on multiple channels, but I've never heard of that happening. Maybe it has, but I have no idea why. I also don't know why season 2 is not on Peacock yet. We don't know these things.
Get on your shit, Peacock. What's that? Yeah, likewise, I've never heard of anything that would be on 2 networks. You should be paid twice. It's also interesting that the show gets such a success because I was nervous when I heard about it. I was 2 networks. Does that mean half ratings on each one?
You're not recording.
Let's see how big it is. Thank God the show's continuing.
I assume they take that into account. I don't know. I also know that if it were next day streaming available, that would make a difference as far as ratings too.
I'm sure that would.
You know, everyone cable is people my age and older have cable, but other than that, it seems less and less people are having.
So speaking of the future of the show, does you guys ever talk to Don? Does he have like a definitive map for the whole series? He knows exactly how many seasons he wants.
No, every season starts. He can't write that far in advance. It'd be wasting energy to try to do that because we never get there. So
TV's like, yeah.
So I spend why map out 10 seasons and then it'd be wasted. It doesn't happen. You've wasted that time. And things change. Like actors become available or not available, and you know the kids are growing up, and so difficult to say that would go that much commitment so far in advance.
What's almost even more impressive than he's just coming up with it as it comes. You know, it's like it seems like it's so pre-planned, it's so
Well, I think some big ideas are. I think even now he has concepts that he would love to do eventually. So what time that works in or not. But yeah, there are things in the show that he thought about doing 25 years ago that he wanted to do. So it's kind of a combination of that. Once you have a new story and you have to run with it. Plus there's a writer's room now. So there's some other input on how to like flesh out some of the concepts.
An example of recycling an idea that didn't get used. There was a time when Kyle was going to show up in Cult and die the death that Preemie dies. Junior's mom, when she falls out the window and then face plants on our kid's car. That was sort of a death loosely planned for Kyle.
It was a little different, but
yeah. She fell through a
Don't say it.
Yeah, it might happen.
It might happen someday.
Yeah. Again, grateful. It didn't happen to me.
I can't resist asking, is there anything you can tease about season 3?
No, the only thing I can say is you should know by now to expect the unexpected with Chucky. So whatever you have in your mind of where it's going to go, you're wrong.
That's all
I can say.
And I think we might keep killing Devin Sawa.
Don seems to really enjoy doing that.
We killed him 3 times already, so.
He's got to stop shit talking Chucky on Twitter.
Yeah, one of the many truths of season 2 was his return. Do this again. So I'm hogging the mic again, so guys, anybody warmed up for questions?
Really, don't be shy.
The most packed house of the weekend.
All right, yeah.
Did you follow what was happening in season 2, or did you find it confusing as I did?
I wasn't confused in the slightest. You try watching it a couple times. Yeah, I wasn't confused at all. I understand when I first read the script, I needed to see some of it to really understand it, but yeah.
What did you ask him?
I'll say also, having read them, and I read season 2, and Nadine showed up, and on paper, I fucking Nadine is driving me crazy. I'm like, I hate this kid. And they cast Bella, and she brought it to life in such an incredibly charming way. She became everybody's favorite new character. She was really awesome, and then Don killed her.
I was bummed with that one.
Everybody, he got death threats. Don got death threats for killing Nadine.
Take a chill pill, people.
Right?
I know we're all Chucky fans, but calm down a little bit. Take a knee. I think we had a question right here as well.
Yeah, so his question was, what's it like to work with Brad Dourif? He's never really there. You know, he does have all of his vocal stuff first. He might clean some things up later, but he does everything first. So very often his voice is on playback while the doll's there, which helps a great deal. It's a lot easier than a script supervisor going like, Andy, I'm going to kill you. It's a lot better coming out of Brad's voice on set. So I've worked with him in that capacity. But yeah, he never did a scene with him in person.
You had a question?
She asked, what was the most difficult scene to film and if I ever had nightmares. I never had nightmares, ever. I still don't. I don't have any dreams about Chucky. And I assume you don't either. The most difficult scene to film? I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, that crying scene in the first film, I was very scared to do. But it ended up working out, so it wasn't difficult necessarily. For me, that stuff in the cabin was a little difficult. It was more of a, I don't know, I take this shit too seriously sometimes, I think.
The exorcism scene took like 5 days to shoot, and there were so many of us there, and it was a real church, and it was hot as fuck, and those candles, there was like 2 million candles, and we're all breathing in black soot. People had their COVID masks on, they were becoming like black filters from all the candle smoke in the church. It was a lot. And then some of us got like a gallon of blood thrown in our face too.
I hid behind her.
You did.
Do we have any more audience questions out there, guys? Oh, here we go.
We're working on the movies and shows. Is there anything you guys ever just took home?
Take any props home or anything?
Best thing I ever took home from set was Jason Priestley.
And all I got was PTSD.
Alright, more audience questions, guys. You guys get so shy. Alright, here we go. Oh, Fiona Doris stories.
Well, that's also, as we were talking about green screen removing things, but not green screen, but like that effect with CGI. She would have green socks on, and they were able to wipe that out. And they take like what's called a plate shot. For those of you that don't know, if whatever you're showing in the scene, if you're going to be removing something, then all the actors get out of the way and they film just that, and they can paint out what they want digitally. So that's how they did her legs. As far as working with Fiona, we all know what a fantastic actress she is. It's borderline intimidating, but she's part of the Chucky family, so working with anyone in the family is super fun.
I had to hit her in the face like 5 times last season. That was scary, because you don't want to actually hit her. I kicked her once a little bit, it was a lot. Like, physical stuff is tricky, Don't want to fucking punch Fiona in the face.
What a bad.
I was there for one of them. That was cool. I was there for one of those punches in the face.
In the church. I punched her there. I punched her.
I saw a hand going up the back here. Any reservations coming back to the show?
No, not really. I can give you some long-winded answer about my insecurities, but I don't need to do that. No, it was such a thrill and such an honor and such a privilege to do that. So, no reservations.
And getting work as an actor is so difficult to do just in general, especially if you're an old lady like me. 58 years old, I'm an invisible human being in Hollywood, so if someone wants to give me a job with people that I've known for more than 30 years, I met Jennifer Tilly before either of us had done a Chucky thing, and she was in my social circle for that long. Kay stayed friends with Don too, and with him, and so it's a huge gift.
Season 3 will be out this fall. Yeah. Yeah, this fall. And what's the most fun thing what's it like to film it? Is that what it is? First of all, anytime that you're on set with the Chucky doll and you see the things that these puppeteers, these brilliant people are doing, that on its own is awesome. And then besides that, I'm working with people that I've known since I was a child, people that are family and feel like family. So it's always fun, it's always exciting. It's also being on set for about 16 hours to work for about 10 minutes. That happens too.
I'm an up-and-coming actor. Do you have any tips for me?
Just like everything else, practice, 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 practice.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Great question, great question. I can actually piggyback on the question before. I've wondered how long, at what point did Don start talking to you guys about, I'm thinking about doing a show, and how long did it take for it to come together?
I knew soon after Cult, like right as we were wrapping up Cult, that's what he wanted to do.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had a pandemic in the middle, and we had something that had nothing to do with our Chucky thing out complicating things.
That's the business for you, that's a shame. But I believe we had some more hands going up in the back. Did I not see? Maybe it was
Allie, do you have any questions? No?
Alright, well, before we let you go, then I just have to ask, there's been so many moments of the show that I'm like, oh, that's my favorite moment. Oh, no, that's my favorite moment. Oh, that's my favorite moment. I can never pick, but for you guys, do you have a favorite moment from season 1 or season 2?
Well, you can tell the one that we both kind of unanimously agree on our favorite death, which was Bree. Bree going out the window. Bree
Landing on Junior's car.
It was shot beautifully. It was really intense. Teo's performance, even just in that scream, that was really brutal and super fun.
There's Dawn's is on set almost always and doing some rewriting in real time on set and changing what you're saying. And in that exorcism scene, Chucky says to Devin, I have a hard time saying this, your mother sucks cocks in hell. He says to a 17-year-old boy, and Devin goes, yeah, we've all seen that movie, asshole. And then Dawn last minute wrote, yeah, but in your case, it's true, she's been really busy. And I'm like, they're never gonna air that line, and they did. I got goosebumps, because it's so scandalous.
Scandalous, and not only that, but we saw how proud Don was that he came up with that line. Like, you saw the pride in his face as he said it to us. You know? So yeah, and he shouldn't, because it was a beautiful line in a very disgusting situation.
There's a lot of moments for the show that Don should be proud of, and you guys as well. It's such an amazingly perfect gift to the fans. And, just thank you so much for taking part in it. So I do want to give the audience one last chance before I let them go back to their table.
We're going to be at our table, so if you have any questions, just come ask us.
I do see one hand back there.
Okay, hand.
Go ahead.
Favorite line you ever
My
said?
favorite line I ever said? Oh, I don't know. I've had some good ones, honestly, especially over the past couple things. This is the end, friend. In the first film, was like Andy's big line. This is the end, friend. And then in Cult of Chucky, after Andy pulls the gun out of his stomach in the script, it says, "This is the end, friend." And I was really like, I didn't know how to say that line again. I couldn't top what I did when I was 6. So right before we shot it, I went to Don and I said, "Can I change this to 'This is the end, fucker'?" And Don's eyes lit up. He said, "Yes." So I'm gonna have to say that one.
I don't have any favorite lines because those hero lines, those like "I'll be back" like Schwarzenegger thing, I'm so uncomfortable doing them. I feel so awkward and like a dork, and so it's just embarrassing. So yeah, that.
Since Curse of Chucky, Andy has had a lot of those type of one-liners.
I'm not good at them.
You're fantastic at that, and you call yourself a dork as if you're as cool as it gets.
Oh, I am cool.
I think you're as cool as it gets. So guys, Be sure if you haven't yet, get to their tables, get some pictures, get some autographs. I know they have a lot more stories to tell you. Make some noise for the incredible cast.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.